You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday, which means noon, which means it's Toast of the Town with Christy and Mel. This is Melanie, and Christy is running a few minutes late. She'll be joining us in a couple of minutes. But we've got lots to talk about, lots to do today, and a great guest that we promoted earlier in the week, CRAIG LEWELLYN with Congressman Kevin Brady's office. And he is here today, and we are going to get into lots of interesting information about both Washington and the state of Texas and, of course, home. So anyway, you guys hang tight for just a minute. And before we get into the dirt, the grit, and the grime, then, we'll leave that to Christy because she's so good at that. Anyway, how have you been, Dick? Oh, didn't have your microphone ready.
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent.
Yeah.
You ready for the parade next week?
Oh, yeah. We're going to have actually Brian Dawson on our morning show on Friday morning. We're going to talk about the Go Texan Parade, which is happening right here in downtown Conroe, Texas. Mm-hmm. It's a great family event. I'd encourage everyone to come out and then stick around downtown because there's a lot of stuff to do down here.
Absolutely.
So I enjoy it. I always enjoy the chaos the traffic brings because for that 2 hours, everyone's like, "Where do I park? How do I get through?"
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
That's always fun to watch.
Oh
my gosh.
Sorry. I know, that's not like me.
I should just have a sack that confiscates all electronic devices.
Thanks. It's...
now you're reading it. So now this is
I'm
weird.
I'm trying to turn it off.
Just
Stop. Leave me alone.
You don't know how to power down a phone? I think it's a button.
Yeah, I was just trying to turn the volume off. Anyway, so, yeah, it's always fun. The kids, it's fun to watch the kids. It's fun to see everybody. And
do you know what time it starts?
1 o'clock, I believe, huh?
Okay.
Isn't that right?
I mean, I honestly don't know until Friday because that's when I interview. I don't do any research on our guests. Yeah. That way I learn as they tell us.
I see.
I'm just kidding.
I see. Yeah, well, that guy was here with our show a couple weeks ago.
Talking about it, too.
I know. Anyway. Okay. Did you get over the impeachment videos?
What impeachment videos?
Yeah, there we go. I figured.
What? I don't really care about that stuff.
All the news.
Oh. Well, it's interesting because that whole thing, the last time I was watched an impeachment was the Bill Clinton deal. Uh-huh. And there's so many people involved. It's amazing to me. And it's almost like you have to put it on a stage where it's entertainment. Mm-hmm. And I feel, especially with the higher government, not like local government, the higher government, I feel like you can kind of just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Your opinion is quite low and quite interesting.
Well, you know how, like, especially when you're doing something that when people are making accusations as if it's a fact. Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, I'm like, okay, well, if it's true, then it'll take care of itself, right? No. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not true then. Like, what do you know is true? What don't you know is true?
Right. Well, and some of it just doesn't matter. Some of the stuff they will make up, and it's still not true, and it still doesn't rise to the level of, what it would take to impeach somebody. Anyway,
I'm more interested in the Jesse Smollett thing.
Yeah,
because that to me is more of like we actually are getting to know what really happened. What are people like? What is actually going to happen with him? Mm-hmm. And then also the people that I would almost say covered it up for him.
Right.
Because it wasn't just him.
Yeah.
The DA brushed it under the rug, and then the police charged them, and the DA is all of a sudden, we support our police, and they made a great move to, complete 180 flip.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it was political, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that decision was...
Well, his motivation was political to start with.
Yeah.
So, anyway, well, hey, it's the other half of Toast of the Town.
I know.
Christy Leggett.
Got me like all discombobulated.
I know.
How are you doing, Craig?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you. Yes,
We have gotten started without
I
you,
know,
but
good.
we are discussing the topics of the world.
Yes, and what are you discussing right
Solve
now?
all
right.
the world's problems while we're at it.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly. The Jussie Smollett case. We started on impeachment, and we've already moved to Smollett.
You know, I thought that was really, really interesting that it took bringing in a special prosecutor to actually
Right.
relive those charges.
Right.
So
I don't understand why they're redoing it, frankly.
I don't understand why they dropped him to begin with.
Well, there you go.
Probably it's the double jeopardy thing. That's my theory.
Well, and that's what's really interesting too, because they're saying that that's kind of the argument right now, because they took it to a grand jury, and they're doing it again. There is a double jeopardy, but I think double jeopardy only technically exists if you actually go to trial.
That's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think that's why they decided not to go to trial the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But
Where do you think he's going to be working in 20 years? Because he's definitely not. I mean, do you think he's going to be on another TV show?
no.
No, he'll never
No,
act again.
no, he's not popular now.
Well,
He's
he
just-
is totally.
Yeah, he's kinda done.
Nixed himself, which is really sad.
Well, I feel like you can, in the grander scheme of things, you can get away with a lot of stuff, even if you're like 20 years ago. No one's going to remember it, really.
Right.
But he's not good enough to be that.
You think
do
so?
that. No.
I mean, he's on a nationally broadcasted television show.
How many
Yeah,
people are on nationally broadcasted television shows?
Exactly.
that-
He can get another job
that
in 20 years.
That run for 6 seasons and then you never see them again.
Well,
Yeah.
and you got to look. I mean, why did he do this to begin with? Because
Mm-hmm.
he wanted more fame. If he was completely content with, where he was, then he
Right.
probably wouldn't have done something so stupid and juvenile anyway.
Right.
Which, and to me, it's just heartbreaking because, you look at the spotlight that it brought, and it just made bad situations so much more, so much worse. And, to...
I don't know. We got that saying, "This is MAGA country." I mean, that kind of stuck with me a little
the
bit.
best part of that was his story was the two guys rolled up on him like, "You're that guy from Empire." Like 2 hardcore Trump fans would sit down and
Watch
watch
Empire.
Well, no,
Exactly.
that was
Like,
actually.
who sat down and thought this out?
If you read the detective notes, that was in one of the notes. It was
really?
why it said basically. Like, I'm not quoting it verbatim. It said, "Why would a white extremist watch Empire?"
Yeah, to sit around and get aggravated. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I've never watched Empire. Was he homosexual on the show, or was he
What does that have
heterosexual?
to-
Or was his
what does that
character
have to do?
heterosexual?
What does that
or
have
was
to do
that
with it?
part of his arc? I don't know. I couldn't.
Well,
tell
that's
you.
what I was
I
wondering.
never watched it.
Because I mean, you can't tell just by
Well, he
looking
gave
at
too
a
much
picture of the
detail.
guy.
He just needed, because if you get attacked, you're supposed to be like, "Oh, I don't really remember,
know.
but I remember being hit, and I remember them being white,
Yeah.
and that's all, and wearing red hats. That's all I remember." And people can connect the dots and make it up on their own. Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know what the hat said.
Obviously, his acting skills were not as great as he expected them to be.
Exactly.
But yeah, it is interesting.
Anyway, I know you know our guest
I
today.
do. Have you introduced him already?
I have introduced it. Well, I told everybody he was here, but
Wonderful.
I didn't. Craig, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's always so good
Happy
to see
to be
you.
here. Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thank you
I
very
don't think
much.
I've
You
seen
too.
you since the first. Is that
Yeah.
really possible?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
We see him every other day.
It's already
don't
like the middle of February,
I know,
and
I
I'm-
said something to him a while ago, and I said, the blonde that was sitting across the table. He goes, "Blonde table?" I go, "The table we sat at 48 hours ago?" He goes, "Oh, Walker County." Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that really fair to judge somebody who's in the political game? Because
No, it's
imagine
not.
the thousands of people they meet a year.
Oh.
Right. Yeah, but I described her.
Well, and especially
Yeah.
with Craig, because he's way, way more than just Montgomery County.
I know he is.
You
I know
have
he
to
is.
9
you have
counties.
to do 9 counties.
We were up
and
in your territory last night. We were in Leon County too.
Yeah.
Oh, all the way up there.
yeah.
All the way up
Yeah.
north.
So how is Congressman Brady doing? Obviously, there's a lot going on in D.C. right now.
He's fine. I think if you would ask him, he'd say he had better days in the past.
Yeah.
But and he'll say this if you ask him. It's just one of those things. It's gone past the okay, we're colleagues and we disagree and we debate this. It's just sitting there in just being on 2 completely different pages.
Yeah.
Is the hostility? Does it carry over all the time? Like now, is it just we can't even be friends, can't be cordial. I mean, and that's a generalization because I know not everybody falls into, and I know Congressman Brady's not that way. But what is the real tone up there? How much of it is the media painting?
I'd say it's a self-perpetuating cycle, right? The media gives attention to people that grandstand,
Right?
so people
right.
will grandstand and get said attention,
Right.
and then you have people that like Kevin that want to sit there and get things done. Some of the older heads in the room that are like, "Hey, let's get back to doing our jobs,
Just do our work."
And you get the new generation, shall we say?
That's just looking for the spotlight.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and one of the things that I've always admired there's so many things that I admire about Congressman Brady. One is his ridiculous, almost unbelievable knowledge on so many topics. And if you don't believe me, if you think I'm just like sitting here, pro Congressman Brady, which I am, but you can go ask this man about any topic at any given moment. Just walk up to him and ask him a question, and he'll have something like meaningful, in depth to say. It absolutely astonishes me how current and how thoroughly he researches and dives into these issues, and it's just so impressive. But the other thing that impresses me so much too is how truly receptive he is to the thoughts of his constituents. I've never seen him speak to anybody when he didn't say, "Tell me what you think," and mean it sincerely and sit there and listen. He's not one of those that speaks or asks a question waiting to give a response. He really absorbs the information. So I can imagine that this has got to be so frustrating for him.
I think frustrating is the right word. Especially, I mean, there's having a long-serving representative is a double-edged sword in some cases.
Right.
But especially someone who's been there, who knows what they're doing, has gotten into a position of leadership,
right,
and has accomplished things before, to have to sit back and be like, okay, now we have to deal with all of this. Yes, frustrating.
Yeah. And we know that he's out there, working every day and probably trying to mend a lot of bridges. And obviously, President Trump relies on his knowledge and experience too. So in a way, I can see that probably hinders him even more, just because he's being genuine to what he was elected to do. So I can imagine how frustrating that's got to be.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I have always, as you said, was that he always asks people,
Yes.
and he wants to, and then there's the days that he asks people, and they get vicious, and he listens, and then he suggests something when they're done. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd have gotten up and walked out. I don't have time for you. Anyway, so I think he has to be extremely frustrated.
Yes.
I'm with you.
And there's so much to be talked about, and so much that could be accomplished, and so much that needs to be done. And I hate it for him, just because on a personal level, he's genuinely one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. But but to sit there and have to endure all that mess.
So one of the things we were talking about right before you came in, was, or actually we weren't talking about on the air, I don't think, but we were talking about, I asked Craig, I said, so what about the Republicans taking the House back? You hear the Republicans touting it. You hear the Democrats saying, no way.
Right.
I don't know why no way. They took it, so I don't know why we can't take
Excuse
it.
me.
We being Republicans, sorry. Anyway, and he said, well, it depends on the Trump race. And I said, is there any way that particular that's going to go? Anyway, I'd like for you
Yeah,
to...
it all depends on the top of the ticket, basically, how that turns out, because the president carried the House when he won. That's just kind of how the math in the states work out. Right. If he wins, he'll most likely carry the House, and if he loses, then it's a moot point. So
what do you think? Because I know my opinion on this, and I can kind of guess both of y'all's opinion on this. Bernie Sanders' big win last night. What do you think that means?
Ooh, I have lots and lots.
I know.
I do too.
First off, I think calling it big is misrepresentative.
That's true.
Because if you add up, you kind of say, okay, 10,000 feet up, you've got the progressive wing and you've got the moderate wing.
Right.
You add Bernie won New Hampshire in 2016 by 20 points, 22 points.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was
I didn't realize
year
it was that
wasn't as
much.
big.
Yeah.
that makes what, 60-40, 65-35,
Yeah.
Right.
somewhere along those lines. So you think, okay, there's 65%, say 2/3 of New Hampshire voters should be inclined, if not towards Bertie, then at least towards Elizabeth Warren or something
Right.
like that. And you add up the math, and you've got basically 2/5 that vote for Bernie or Elizabeth, and 3/5 that vote for Klobuchar, Pete, or Joe Biden. So I think it just goes to show you it's less Bernie and more how unpopular Hillary was.
Yes.
True. I think that's a very
But
good observation.
don't misunderstand that. We saw what happened in 2016 when you've got a high floor, low ceiling, very populist candidate in Donald Trump. Never really broke 35%, but the field was so divided that
Right.
35% carried him through.
Right.
Now, thankfully it did, and we are where we are. But it's just kind of how the math worked out. He never really broke 50 until he
Couple of
secured the
weeks ago.
nomination.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do
So
you,
Bernie, I think Bernie's in the same boat, right? If the people that
That's
oppose
true.
him, they need to get their act together and decide, okay, who's in, who's out. We all
it's
need
time
to
to
get
start
behind it.
narrowing the field a bit.
Exactly, because he's scooting by with 35% of the vote, and he's going to win everything with 35% if it's as divided.
That's a very good point. And to look at the range of candidates, I mean, you pretty much it's very interesting to me that it's for such an. We've been talking so much lately about the divisiveness in the Republican Party, and we've been talking about how the Democrats were capitalizing on that. But now it's kind of interesting to see the same thing mirroring and happening on the other side. Would you
Well,
agree?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
agreed.
I agree. I think both parties have to deal with that, and it's more so a factor of, I hate the term establishment, but kind of the
Right.
established power
Traditional.
brokers, the traditional power
Right.
brokers in the party deciding what's what, and completely losing touch with the average voter to the point of, in 2016, Republicans are, screw you, I'm voting for Donald Trump. In
Right.
2020, Democrats are, screw you, I'm voting for Bernie Sanders.
What do you think? So, say, hypothetically speaking, because we still have a ways to go, say Bernie Sanders somehow seals the deal and gets the nod.
This was the interesting part.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
I
What do you
think
think
he
that
is
means
the
for
only
President
candidate
Trump?
that brings it as close to, like, he is the only one that could bring it to 50-50. Like, that is just so, because you have both establishments completely unconnected to the
Silenced.
race.
Unhinged.
Right, and so it's populist versus populist, and what happens then is anybody's guess. Anybody else other than him, I think the president runs away with it. I think it's Reagan in 88
Right.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to
86.
agree with you, and especially here in Texas, we no longer have straight ticket voting, which I think is also going to be an interesting revelation, something that we're going to see. I think all of us that find it interesting to look at those trends are going to be really kind of
Yeah.
diving in a little bit deeper, just because it's a kind of a different world. But how do you think that affects down the ticket?
It definitely puts more onus on the candidates now. I think a strong, charismatic candidate could make a move one way or another. I think it's entirely plausible that, say, if you get a really popular, really charismatic Democrat running for county commissioner in the Woodlands, say, nothing
Right,
against
anywhere.
Commissioner Nowak,
Right.
anywhere, right? They could make in a strong red county. They're just, hey, I'm a moderate Democrat, run against the system. It's all corrupt. I'm going to clean up the county government, this, that, and the other. I think they have a much, much better shot now without straight ticket voting of pulling that off as opposed to the
agree.
straight ticket.
Yeah.
But it does also help down ballot races statewide and district wide, right? Because you go look at Harris County in 2018.
Right, it was a
We
mess.
lost the judges
Everything.
because of straight
Yes,
ticket voting in Harris
exactly.
County.
So it's a double-edged sword. I mean,
Exactly.
and so that's one of the other things that we've talked about on this issue is how it seems like now these platforms aren't necessarily as vital as branding and advertising, because now it becomes more of a marketing
So
situation.
you want me to go full on about that, or
Yes.
just kind of
No,
okay?
please do.
So I like getting high-minded sometimes. There's a guy I like reading to, listening to, Jonah Goldberg. He's got this kind of pet theory that institutions, kind of government, the military, the church, these things like that. They used to be forming, right? You go into the military and you come out a Marine, right? You run on this thing as kind, you come out a congressman, right? You go do these things and they shape you and they form you. Now you can critique that and say what they're forming people into is bad. Okay, you have that conversation, right?
Right.
But instead what they've turned into is platforms and stages. So you go into Congress, instead of shaping you to become a representative that deliberates the issues and comes to a messy compromise because that's the best way
And
forward.
that's what is necessary.
Right.
You get up in grandstand because you get attention, you get people paying attention to you. I think that it definitely these institutions like the parties and different things they're dead. They're gone. It's all personal, and I think Trump's the one who really put that front and center. It's all personal branding is what it is.
Right. And and again, double-edged sword, because there's always that fear that people are candidates are going to focus more on just establishing their name than really what they stand for and who and how they want to represent.
Right.
So when this cycle started, I was like really thinking ahead about this because, in my opinion, there are the phone call I get the day before elections from across the country is, who are the judges? I don't know what judges to vote for. I didn't pay attention to the judges because people don't pay attention. So they got votes before because people voted straight ticket. So I don't think people are going to go down the ticket and vote for the judges unless that judge candidate has really, really had a name
They've established.
Yes. Okay. So I think it's scary for those guys. I also think that's my opinion, that it's a little scary for those guys. I also think that there are some long-term judges who haven't been bad judges, but they haven't had to run really hard. And if not
now they're
this
being
year,
contested.
if not this year, then maybe in 2 years or 4 years, they may be contested.
Yeah, I think yes, those concerns are valid. I think it puts it back on the candidate, back on the judge.
Right.
You've got to now. Do we actually want judges campaigning? I don't
Right.
know.
No.
That's
right.
Yeah, that's a big question you
Right.
want to find out. But I think you've whittled. Excuse me. I think that it all kind of comes down to who votes down ticket,
Right.
Yes.
And I think
Who's
you've
really
got-
committed to
who's
the
re-
election
and I
process.
think at least here in this area, you've got a lot more Republicans that are committed to the whole ticket than elsewhere.
Yeah. I
Right.
agree with that.
Well,
So-
and I think too that for those of us that are involved, where we're paying attention to judges' races, it's because one of the things that we find important is that judges enforce the laws. They aren't trying to legislate or make the laws. And
Most of them.
most of them. Well, and that's true because just going through some of the forums here lately that we've actually seen Republican affiliated judge candidates saying that they want to interpret and make laws. And for all of us that are paying attention, we know that that's not their jobs. But it's delineating that and getting people to pay attention and get involved enough, because most people don't really care about judges until they end up in a lawsuit, and then all of a sudden they care about who's going to be overseeing their case. But do you think that there is a special trick? How do we get people more engaged? Here we are fixing to enter early voting. How do we get people interested and engaged in the importance of electing, judges that represent, the ideals that
Yes. Would you
they care
please
about?
tell us the secret to campaigning?
Hey, you know what? I was finessing this just fine. Yes, I want some insider information. What do you think I do?
The secret to campaigning is to be a candidate or have a candidate that just loves it, that thrives in that atmosphere. And other than that, there is no secret. It's all you know this just as well.
That. I know that.
There's only so much you can do at the end of the day.
I have made this comment to all of them. They go, okay, what do I do? What's the secret? Okay, you've told me this. You told me that. You told me this. You told me that. What's the secret? Do all of it. Do all
Do it
of
all.
it. You have to walk You have to mail. You have to have a website. You have to have social media. You have to go to the forums. You have to go to the parties. You have to. You have to do all of it.
Yeah.
And the one who does it all the best and most balanced wins.
Well, and I think what's funny too, though, is you look at different candidates and different characteristics. Judges, scholarly,
Yes.
knowledgeable. I would say a lot of them are more introverted just because that comes with, reading cases and diving into laws and so forth. But so it presents an especially different challenge for a lot of these judges candidates because it's very much outside their comfort zone.
Yes, it is.
Most of their comfort zone. Not all of them.
Not all of them. Most of them.
But I do think it's going to be really interesting to see what the turnout's going to be this year.
We have one candidate, and you know him, who is a judge candidate, and I'll just tell it's Bobby Kasperzak. He's been on our show before, and he started out that way, but he's got a great personality. So that
I wouldn't call him an introvert.
But no,
scholarly, but not an introvert.
Yeah, but he also started out though as not embracing that. Now I can't shut him up. It's on the phone all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Which is great.
Yeah.
That's great because he's taking all the initiative to go and do, and he has gotten to know a lot of people.
Right.
And I think that there are others that have done that too that aren't necessarily ours.
Right.
But,
and I think what you said is exactly right. Those that embrace the process, because it really is. One of the things that we say all the time: running for office is not easy.
It's a grind.
It is exhausting.
You have to enjoy the grind. You have to
do.
thrive in that kind of environment.
Yes.
And the person who does that the best is 9 times out of 10 going to come out on top in those small local races where it's all candidate driven.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the turnout's going to be, not only for those specific down ballot judge races, but
well, and we have an interesting sort of set of candidates this year. Not the candidates, but the offices that they're running for. We have no sheriff. We have no. Was the DA's turn? We have no
Law enforcement.
contested.
Law enforcement. We've got, a couple of constables, but by and large, there's not. And then we've got this handful of judges, or couple, and there's not a lot of people running. There's not a lot of offices being run for, and I just think it's kind of a strange. We don't have a really high placed.
Right. Well, and you look at the 9th District Court of Appeals race. What I thought was interesting is you have a 10-county area, and every one of the candidates is from Montgomery County. Now, part of that makes sense given who we are and where we're located and the size, but that really shocks me.
Yeah.
And is that because of the perception that running for office is expensive and impossible and it's a horrible atmosphere right now, or is it because most people that are inclined to run for that office are here in the largest county seat in the district and in doing business here? What do you think that is?
Little column A, little column B.
Yeah, I was fixing to say.
You've got it's easier to run and get people to know you and want to vote for you if you're running in an area that you're from.
Yeah, and more populous.
And more populous, right. And if you're the biggest county in a district, just odds are that the people that want to run and run locally in, I guess the next step is, okay, I want to run and I want to be competitive. I don't want to just put my name down on paper and know I'm going to lose. So if you want to run and be competitive, you need people to vote for you where you're from. Montgomery County is the biggest in the district.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And the other thing is that we ended up with a large field. I don't think we've ever had a huge field in a race like that. I mean,
with 5 in that race, is that right?
Yeah.
Four in that race.
Yeah.
4. There's 5 in. No, there's 5.
I want to say there's 5.
No, there's 5 in that race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
right.
early voting starts on the 18th, which is Monday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. And, then it's going to be the
Runoff
final home
time.
stretch. Exactly.
I
know. Well, since we are halfway through the hour, I think we should go ahead and take a break.
Okay, good.
I know we've got some more topics that we want to
Yes.
discuss with you because there's all kinds of interesting things going on, and I'd love to get your take on things. So if you are heading out for lunch just now, make sure you're tuning in to 106.1 1 or 104.5 on your FM dial if you're here in the Conroe area. You can also listen to us on Facebook Live on our Moxie Innovative page. You are listening to Toast of the Town with Christy and Mel, and we will be right back.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
Path to the Plate is a research-based education program that helps consumers understand how their food choices impact their health by making the connection to agriculture. Learning about how food is grown and produced, and how consumers can make better food choices for themselves and their families, Path to the Plate is all about dispelling myths and misconceptions. Find out more online at pathtotheplate.tamu.edu. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your questions. Get seen on TV, YouTube, and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Support your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Second Saturday Divorce Workshop provides unbiased information to help you understand your options and move forward with your life. This divorce workshop is for you if you are contemplating divorce, in the process of divorce, already filed for divorce, or post-divorce. You will explore the emotional, legal, and financial aspects of divorce from professionals who have guided others through divorce. For more information on this divorce workshop, contact SecondSaturdayWoodlands.com or call 832-375-0900.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
For those of you who like your partners, your gumbo, and your music salty, well, we're here to help with the music. Julian Shea here, host of Lone Star Country Nights Thursday, your weekly dose of roots and Americana and all the music that makes this part of the country special. We stir in Western swing, honky-tonk, Zydeco, Texas blues, outlaw country, and put a pinch of red dirt, and then we smoke it over a slow fire. Then listen to the results Thursday nights on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Mel of the Christy and Mel fame, Toast to the Town.
And we are excited to be sitting here with our friend Craig Llewellyn,
Yes.
with Congressman Brady's office. And, you know, it's an interesting time, especially now getting close to early voting. And I love getting my pieces.
And when is early voting, ma'am?
It starts on February the 18th.
Which is what day?
That would be Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
I know. Primary
Everybody
election
get out and
day
vote.
is Tuesday, March 3rd. You know, it seemed like last week, it was like, oh my gosh, we got so much time. And now here we are, and we're in the thick of it.
I know.
And in the home stretch.
Yes.
And I've been, getting all my political pieces because I'm a nerd like that. So when I get my
Yes.
mail pieces, I like to keep them because I like to read them. I think
Sure.
it's, it's when
Okay,
you've got-
I'm glad I'm not the only person that
No,
keeps those.
I do.
No, I do. I keep them for years.
And because I think it's important too, because number one, they're not cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got a candidate that's willing to invest in trying to share their messaging with you, I think it deserves your time and attention.
Well, and not only that, but I think that I don't care who you are, Republican, Democrat, like you, don't like you.
Right.
It takes a certain amount of gumption that very few people have to run for office. I mean, it's got to be an internal struggle to make the decision. Yes.
Yes.
And then the second thing is, like you said, there's a lot of expense. And I will tell you, having done this for decades, mailers are expensive, and it's when they get down to the last minute, it is like the most critical time. You have run through a lot of money, and gathering up money just to do mailers is painful.
Oh, yeah.
It is painful, and a lot of them go in debt to do it. So I really respect people who mail, and I know y'all don't like hearing that because you don't like your mailbox filling up with it. But
You know what? I'd rather
it's
get that than the latest Dish Network offer. At
Thank
least
you.
it's got some
Thank
substance to it.
Exactly. Dish Network, we didn't mean that. Y'all
No,
can
no, no.
hire us too.
But it's that's one of the things that I admire too about Congressman Brady, because he outlines, look, this is what I've done, this is what I want to do, and that ties into just kind of his whole campaign strategy. He always keeps it positive. And you see so many of these guys on both sides of the aisle that just get dirty and ugly, and even these folks that run against him. How does he? I mean, I know I know part of it is just his personality, just because he's just a really nice guy.
He is.
But that's got to be a real struggle sometimes, especially working for his campaign, when you just kind of would like to backhand somebody on occasion.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea.
I think you hit the court.
but because there are so many mistruths out there. So how do you go about keeping that mentality of, okay, we're not going to strike back per se. We're just we're going to focus on just laying out the truth the way that it is and the way that we
You've
know
just
it.
got to be
Where we're
confident
going.
in your message. You've got to know, you've got to trust that you have the right message, that you have the right candidate, that no matter what slings and arrows come your way, you know that you're the right person. And if it's big enough and pressing enough, then maybe you can address something. But a lot of it is noise. I think people, especially in social media these days, they mistake noise for substance, right?
That is so
Right. Oh my
true.
gosh. That's
Okay,
true.
so
Yeah.
they don't realize that someone posting something on Facebook that gets 20 likes and 5 comments, right? Say 30 people saw it, 30 people actually read it, another 50 more people saw it, right? Call it rounded up to 100,
Right.
an even 100. There will be hundreds of thousands of voters just in this primary, in Montgomery County, not to mention everything
Right.
else, right? It's a scale issue, right? You've got to know, you've got to be confident. Hey, we've got the right message. We're never going to get 100% of the vote, no matter who you are,
Right.
no matter what you are. There'd be people that vote against Jesus just to vote against
Exactly,
Jesus, right?
just to say they did.
Exactly. So you will never get 100% of the vote. You have to recognize that. You've got to be confident in your message and just keep on soldiering.
Well, and there are so many people that, they see it on social media and they think it was reported by
Right.
God himself.
Yes.
That it's factual, but to be able to just weed through so much of that noise to actually try to correct some of that to me, that's got to feel overwhelming sometimes.
Well, the other thing is that there are those people who will argue with a fence post. It doesn't matter what you say.
That's true.
They're
Right.
going to argue with it. They're going to fight it. They're going to, and that's something that Congressman Brady obviously is adept at because he's done it for a while. But and that's something you were talking about, newer candidates that struggle with it because they get shot at and they get hit. They
Well-
feel like they've been hit, and actually
they
it's
have
just
the dirty
the
secret is
competency.
it's not general, unless it's something major that you have to address. It's generally not worth your time and effort to bother with
chase
people,
rabbits, right.
To chase rabbits, exactly. If you've got supporters that want to stand up on your behalf, even better, let them go do their thing. You focus, again, it all comes back to you've got to be confident in your message, confident in your candidate, right?
Yep.
You can spend an hour arguing with somebody on Facebook, or you can spend an hour hitting 20 doors down the street. What are you
Exactly.
gonna do?
What's going to be most productive?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I know y'all have got a great team too. I mean, and not just on the campaign side, but also working in the offices that work for all of us.
right. The legislative.
It is really impressive as somebody that has called your office and said, "Hey, I've got a question." Just the depth and the knowledge, and if you don't know the answer, well, y'all just
Yeah.
Y'all go find it. And it's sad to me that I don't think most congressional offices work that way.
It's definitely a leadership thing. It all starts at the top, and I've worked for people that I've believed in and people that I've not believed in, and it's been a paycheck. That's kind of the nature of the job at some points. But I've kind of got some perspective, and Kevin's the real deal. Like he's genuine, he's honest, he's just a good all around guy. And it starts at the top. If you get someone like that, and the people that want to work for him believe in what he's doing and believe in supporting him and doing the right thing, then it all filters down from him to our chief of staff to our district, all the way down the road to even my door knockers. Right. Versus if you've got someone who doesn't inspire confidence like that, then you can have a lot of issues.
Well, and I told J.J. Holly, who was our guest last week, I told him this story because to me it shows the impact that a statesman and elected official can have. Because I'm still in that, I have that romantic minded of elected leadership as somebody that you look up to, that you aspire to be because they set.
I'm not going to laugh at you, but
yeah, not all of them, but there's
like,
still.
Gosh, I thought I'd taught her better than that.
There is still that part of me that
That's
is
great,
in,
though. That's
in political rhetoric at Texas A&M University with Dr. Dorsey, that is sitting there tearing apart speeches and just getting engrossed with the words and the guy and the people, mostly men at that time, that delivered them because they're it's a different world. But anyway, but my son, who is 14. Has met Congressman Brady on a couple of different occasions. One whenever he came to speak at the high school Republican group that I was attending, and he was with me. Another time was during Hurricane Harvey relief. And so he's not necessarily up on all the issues. He doesn't, he's not, a politico by any means, but they're kids.
He's pretty sharp.
They gather information, right? They pick up bits and pieces. So we were talking when the impeachment mess was going on. Not that it's all over, but and he said something to me that really struck me. He said, "I wonder what Congressman Brady thinks about this." And I think as people that, just as voting citizens, doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are or not, you have 14-year-old kids that are involved in baseball and football, that are playing Fortnite, that are doing all these other things that are way more important to them.
You just described Craig's life.
And they're they're still cluing in because it's still important to them. And of all people, it wasn't, "Hey, Mom, what do you think?" It wasn't, I wonder, what any of the local people that they see on a regular basis.
It wasn't like he had just come up in conversation.
Yeah,
he just
I wonder what Congressman Brady thinks about this. And I think that sets such an amazing example of what a job he's doing representing us. And the way that, anybody that understands conflict resolution, you don't always get to win 100% of your argument 100% of the time.
Yes, I do.
But no, you don't. But I think that the way that he is able to compromise and still get things done is really a testament to how well he does his job.
Yeah, I think again, like I said, I've worked for people that have inspired me, and I've worked for people that it was just a paycheck, and he's one of those that I'll die on the hill for Kevin Brady.
Yeah,
like he's the real deal.
Yeah, I know, and his family's just precious. I mean, they're just and I feel like they're neighbors. I've actually seen him. I was actually at my eye doctor, and Congressman Brady and his son were out riding bikes and stopped by just to say hello because eye doctor is a friend of it. I mean, that's kind of what he does. But how is he feeling after the impeachment and the acquittal, which is what the acquittal? How is he feeling, other than frustrated because of the rest of everything going on?
I mean, it's all, I think frustrated's right again. It's all different parts of the same soup, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find a better metaphor than that. But
that's true because it's not over.
It'll never be over.
Yeah.
Nadler walked out of the acquittal and said, "Okay, well, we're going to investigate something else now."
Wow.
And at the end of the day, you've got these people that are so dead set on refusing to accept reality that they'll do all these things in the run-up. We're less than a year away from a presidential election. We're what? Do the math. 8 months?
Yeah.
Ish?
Yeah.
Less than a year. and these people still can't let go. They're like, okay, well, we didn't get them. Let's see what happens. Not even let's see what happens in November and then we'll reevaluate again. It was, nope, we're going back to the mat tomorrow.
It's amazing to me. Well, and I saw an article that came out yesterday, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not an expert on this subject, but I thought the parallels were really interesting. That there is a constable in Liberty County that has been indicted for official oppression, and the big argument is that it seems to be because he has a contested election this year, and it looks like similar tactics might be being employed. Now, I don't know the candidate. I don't know the truths. I'll admit that. But do you think that's something that we're going to start seeing more of? It depends. Going back to the whole institutions and grandstanding kind of thing. If you get, it all depends on the investigational bodies, right? Is it T-Call and kind of the investigators from the state or from the FBI. And if you get people that want to go in there to grandstand, to make their political point, to take down the bad guy, yeah, you'll find people that can justify anything. Sure. Go look at the Lisa Strzok and Page, Peter and Lisa. Yeah. Those FBI guys, right? You've got people that are justifying doing something that they know is illegal because it's for the good of the country or whatever they decided it was, right? Yes, I think there will always be people like that, and in this day and age, there may be more people going into those kind of positions. Or at least they get more attention. Or they get exactly. I'm at the end of the day, I'm an optimistic guy. I think it'll all kind of come together. Then you may have one bad apple, but two other people in the cubicles next to him are like, "Hey, man, calm down." So chill out, right? For Pete's sake, right?
Yeah, we have important conversation, and that's not it.
Yeah, well, and it all comes back to ethics, and and not just political ethics, but ethics on the grand scheme of things, and just
you're right.
Golden rule: treat others like you want to be treated. What is it? What is that saying that I learned? Everything I needed to know in life, I learned in kindergarten. Right. And just getting back to that kind of moral grounding on a societal basis, which is but to see it in our leadership, and I think then it trickles down. I think you those that have the stage, if you watch their behavior, people typically try to emulate that behavior, and it would be nice to see everybody cleaning up their acts.
You'll find no argument here.
Yeah. So how has the reception been here? Are you seeing a lot of attendance at forums? I know y'all are attending events from representing Congressman Brady because he's trying to work. But
I don't know. You'll always see people that come out this time of year that aren't the usual crowd that we run into in July of an odd year. Right. But about this time of year, you get everybody coming out and, okay, who am I voting for? Let's figure it out. Exactly. I think as a whole, the people of Montgomery County are very involved. They like to know who they're voting for. They like to look someone in the eye, shake their hand, decide if they like the person or not. Yeah. What about outside Montgomery County? I couldn't tell you. Yeah. Yeah. It's it was interesting, like what you were saying, we were in Leon County last night, and to me, I was excited. The weather was horrible. It's rainy. It's cold. And still to have the turnout that was there. We had it was for a single candidate event. It wasn't even a forum, but to see the turnout, to me, that's exciting. Yeah. I'm nerdy that way.
Even if the cake was the wrong color. But we had a great event. I mean, it really was.
And it was very engaging. And I think, looking forward, and all of us that are trying to make the right election decisions, because for our children, for the future that's coming, it was nice to see so many people present and engaged. But it's an interesting road out there. But I think I love the fact it's the media attention is both. I mean, it's negative because we all see the spin and what's going on, but it is nice to see that that at least with the coverage that in some way, somehow, through social media or whatever, it's filtering down, to our next generation of voters.
Well, yes, on that. And the other thing is that I really do believe that things are going to come full circle in Montgomery County. I really do believe it. I believe that all of the grief that has been started and stirred, there'll be some good that filters out of that, some very positive, But I think it'll come full circle, and everybody will sort of mellow out and sort of, it's never going to be one big cohesive group because it's such a large group.
There will always be two sides, whether it's two sides of a party, two parties.
Right.
There will always be.
Agreed.
There will always just. It's natural, right? There will always
It's
be
human
two
nature.
opposing sides. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But I don't think that it has to be vicious.
No.
And it has been vicious in the past couple of years. And I think it's coming full circle. I think the viciousness will start to just.
I sure hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I have spoken. Look at Chrissy. Oh God, here we go.
Throw that one out the window. No, but
Okay.
I hope that that's on a national scale too. It'd be nice to see that happen.
It would.
Just to bring some cordiality and
Cordiality.
I don't know. Is that a word? If it's
I'm
not, it
sure.
should be.
It should be. It's Christy's word of the day.
It is
Cordiality.
Christy's word of the day,
Okay.
cordiality.
Real quick. First of all, I want to say this. Craig, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
It
Thanks
has
for
been a
having me.
blast.
And I also want to say, if people are interested in learning more about Congressman Brady, where can they go and find out everything that they want to know about what he's doing in Washington?
What he's accomplished and
What he's done, what he's doing, you can either go to his official, if you like nerdery, you can go to his official Washington page, which is kevinbrady.house.gov. Or if you want the quick hits, you can go to bradyforcongress.com. Or find me somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm out everywhere, happy to talk.
Yeah, and find them and follow them on Facebook. And really, if you ever have a question or an issue, call their office.
I don't follow me on Facebook. I don't believe in Facebook. follow Brady for Congress.
That's what
on
I
Facebook.
meant. Brady for Congress. That's what I meant. Was because y'all, relevant information, but it doesn't flood your timeline or whatever. But it's relevancy, and then you'll get all kinds of information.
Absolutely.
So thank you, and be sure and pass along our thanks to Congressman Brady for the work that he's doing for all of us.
Absolutely.
Yes. So yes. What now?
Well,
I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I'm here to be interrupted. I did not give a calendar at the beginning of the show, and do we have any? I know we've got the parade next weekend.
Yes, we have the Go Texan Parade
We
coming
talked
up
about that a
on
little bit.
February 22nd.
That's correct.
It will be here. Gosh, that's next Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope Congressman Brady's team will be able to participate in the 55th annual Go Texan Parade. Obviously, we've got Montgomery County Fair and Rodeo coming up very quickly.
What is the date of that?
Yeah, thanks for putting me on the spot on that one. I'll have to look that one up.
It's mid-March.
Yeah, end of March. I think it's the 17th is when it starts. I was just looking at it earlier. And then, of course, we've got the Bridgewood Farms Wine event that I'm currently working on that's coming up on April 18th. That will be at the Northside Lexus dealership in Spring. So excited. Have some fun surprises coming up. We've got Kevin Black that will actually be performing live at the event this year.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, some new and exciting elements that we're going to add in this year. So,
Okay.
yes.
Good. Anything other local?
Well, we have lots and lots of forums still coming up. Lots of Meet the Candidates coming up. And, of course, we've got early voting that starts on February the 18th. Please get out and vote. But before you do some research, people.
Yes. And it's not that I mind
Vote
talking to all of
responsibly.
you. I mean, I enjoy it, once every 2 years when y'all call me the day before Election Day and say, how do I vote? It's fine. I love it. But it'd be better if you figured it out for yourself. Because your
Exactly.
opinions might be different from mine. I doubt it.
And when you go to the polls, just be kind to everyone.
Yes. Everybody.
Everyone, because everybody that's there is giving up their time from work, their time away from family, their time away from their lives because they care about somebody, they care about a position, they're passionate about what they're doing. So
And
just
they care about
remember,
the process, too, or they wouldn't be there.
absolutely. And it really is fun. Get engaged. If you have a candidate that you care about, that you want to support, get out there on Election Day and share that love.
And honestly, is there any more fun time? It's drudgery, parts of it, but parts of it are hilariously fun.
Absolutely.
And I assume Congressman Brady will be there some of the time. 'Cause
Yeah,
he usually is.
he will be in town the first week of early voting. We'll be
Excellent.
popping in and out.
Good.
good.
The second week of early voting, he'll have to be back, but he'll be back on election day.
That's
Okay,
great.
good,
Yeah,
good.
there's this great camaraderie that exists between all of
It
us
is.
crazy people that show up on,
It is.
at the polling
It
booths.
is.
But anyway, but make sure you like and follow us on the Moxie Innovative page. We're going to keep everybody up to date on election results as we get them coming in. And if you have any questions, just shoot them to us.
And hello to Austin or the Austin area, Galloway. We know you're listening.
Yes, and we're so happy you're feeling better.
Yes.
Yes, because you're so much fun. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to Toast of the Town with Christy and Mel. We will be back next Wednesday in the middle of, or at the beginning of early voting.
Oh, yes.
I know.
It'll
We'll
be
be kicking
fun.
up our heels. It'll be fun. But until then, make it a great week, and we will see you next hump day.